Hello and welcome to the Nourish and Strengthen podcast. I am your host, Trainer Lindsay. I have been on numerous podcasts. This is actually episode 1 of my very own podcast. This has been something that I have been wanting to do for so many years. Like I said, after being a guest on so many podcasts and telling my story, so many times to different audiences, I just really wanted to create a place and a platform where I could really go into a lot more depth, sharing my struggles that I've been through, the things that I have learned, the people that I have met along my journey, things like that, share them with you in my own kind of place. So here we are. It is called Nourish and Strengthen. We're going to be talking about, all things nutrition, fat loss, exercise, hormones, overall general wellness. So my passion really with this podcast, you guys, is to help women realize that losing weight, getting your confidence back, and getting healthy can be a fun and empowering and enjoyable experience. And I want you guys to know through, what I have to teach you and tell you about that, learning how to reach your fitness goals in a way that keep your hormones and metabolism healthy is so empowering. And it builds this confidence in yourself that, you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. So I am super excited to be sharing with you guys tips, tricks, hacks, education on all things fat loss, health, wellness, all things like that. So super excited to have you guys here. I just want this first episode, I wanted to kind of share a little bit of my story, who I am, why I think you should listen to me and trust me. Okay. So my name is Lindsay Matthews. Trainer Lindsay is kind of my alias. I kind of feel like it's kind of like, the Elastigirl and Mrs. Incredible, Trainer Lindsay is my Elastigirl. Mrs. Incredible is like my Lindsay Matthews, my real life. So Trainer Lindsay, I put on my Trainer Lindsay hat and, I'm ready to teach you guys. I put on my Lindsay Matthews hat and I'm driving my kids around and I'm hanging around my house in my jammies and my flip-flops kind of thing, So I have 3 kids and they are 19, 17, and 14. My 19-year-old is actually on a 2-year mission for our church in El Salvador. He'll be back in like less than 3 months. So I'm super excited about that. My 17-year-old is graduating from high school. Actually, by the time this airs, she will have just graduated from high school. And my 14-year-old will be starting 9th grade next year. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I actually grew up in California. So I grew up in California and I lived there until I came to Utah for college. I went to Brigham Young University and I met my husband there. He was from Seattle and we just stayed and we love it here in the Salt Lake Valley. So let me share a little bit about my story. And my story is kind of long. So I'm going to just give you the overview because this is one of the big reasons why I created this podcast was to be able to go into more detail of what I've gone through, what I've learned, and, share those lessons with you guys. So let me just kind of give you that overview now. So I've kind of always been involved in fitness. Ever since I took that weightlifting class in high school, I kind of got that weightlifting bug. I was on the swim team through high school. And when I was in college, I remember it was my sophomore year of college and my roommates and I, we lived close to a Gold's Gym. It was Gold's Gym at the time. And I remember we would go there and it was 1999. So yes, I'm 42. I forgot to throw that out there. It was 1999 and we would go there and we would get guest passes and we would get guest passes week after week because they weren't in like any sort of computer system. It was literally just, getting a piece of paper that had your name on it and you showed it for a week, right? So I would go and get guest passes. And after multiple weeks of getting guest passes, we were like, okay, I think this working out thing is going to stick. So let's just get a membership. So we got a membership and I've really never looked back since. Working out at the gym has never been a hard thing for me. It's never been something that I've struggled with staying consistent with. The nutrition is another story and we'll go into, of course, more of those stories as we go along. But back to about 2006 or so, actually it was more like 2004. We were newly married. I got married in the year 2000. And I wanted something to do while I was at home with little kids. I mean, some moms just love being at home with their kids. I really wanted something else to do for myself, a way to financially contribute to the family, make some money, something to do, that sort of thing. And this was at the time, online personal training was not really a thing at this time. It was in its very, very beginnings. I had heard of it a little bit and I was like, I want to do that. But it really stemmed more from a place of insecurity. I wanted to be a trainer. I wanted to be, there was no such thing as like fitness coaches. It was all personal training back then. But I didn't want to work at a gym. Okay. So I want to do it all online. Like I started online because I was like, I don't want to see people. I don't want to do, basically put myself out there in front of people. So, I was super nervous about it because I had this thing in my head of like what a trainer, quote, trainer was supposed to look like. And I just felt like I didn't look like that. And so I had a lot of self-doubt, a lot of imposter syndrome around that. And I had a couple of friends that were just like, go for it. This is your passion. This is what you love. You need to just do it and put yourself out there and not be worried about what other people think. Right. And so I did. And I just kind of got started online. So I started with writing workouts for people. I didn't even write meal plans. It was really like I would send them a food log. They'd fill out the food log and they would, send it back into me. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Like maybe you should add an apple here, or maybe you should increase your protein here, or whatever. It was very, very minimal. And I think I charged like $30 a month, like for reals. So that's kind of how I started. After a couple years of that, I really was feeling like, if I really want to be good at connecting to people and working with people and really understanding them, I need to work with people in person. But I still had this thing in my head of, what a personal trainer is supposed to look like. And I was not fitting that mold. So what I did was thought I was being so strategic. I found the smallest gym in my town and I was like, I want to work there because nobody probably goes there. So nobody will see me. So that's where I want to work. Pretty ridiculous. I know, but that's what I did. I got a job it was an Anytime Fitness in Springville, Utah. Shout out to anyone who goes there. It was a great gym. Loved it. I was there for a couple years. And it was when I was working there that somebody told me, group fitness, like boot camp classes are really where it's at. You can have a bigger group of people, you can impact more lives, you can make more money, you can, have a bigger group that you're working with at the same time, right? And my first thought was, oh, heck no. There is absolutely no way you will ever get me working out in front of a group of people who are watching me and I'm like talking to them. Like I'm thinking, rock concert microphone around here, just jumping around. I'm not like a dancer. I'm not a performer. So that was way out of my comfort zone. Okay. This is in 2000, probably 6 or 7 by this point. No, 2008. It was 2008. And it was before Aubrey was born. So must've been 2007. So I had 2 kids and I was going to have another one, but I hadn't yet. And I was like, yeah, there's absolutely no way. But I got home and the seed was planted and I would ruminate on it and it never left my mind. Kind of like this whole podcast project, never left my mind for the last couple of years. And, finally I was like, okay, you know what? I'll always wonder what if I don't just go do it, I'm always going to wonder what would have happened had I done that. Right. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I came up with this program. It was a pretty awesome program. If you do ask me, I still work with people who did my boot camp program back in the day. So it was a 6-week boot camp program. And then we did 6 weeks off. So I did 4 of them throughout the year. Okay. And it was in person. We had 2 in-person classes a week. We had different weekly challenges. We had games. We had prizes. It was so much fun. Anyway, I came up with this program. There was no social media. Keep in mind, 2008, no social media unless you want to talk about like MySpace or something, which whatever. And so I made flyers and I put them in like our city library. I put them in our, grocery stores and I flyered the heck out of our neighborhood. Okay. That's how I got the word out. And I remember thinking, okay, if I can get at least 8 people, then I'm going to do it. If I don't get 8 people, then we're not going to do this. Right. And I remember the day that my 8th person signed up. Oh my gosh, I about had a panic attack. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this. What am I going to do? And I was like, I got to do this. I can do it. I can do it. And I like gathered all the courage and I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I'd laugh because gathered all the courage. Sorry, that probably was a weird phrase. It's like something that Caleb said, my oldest, when he was like 12 years old. And our family always says, gather all the courage. Okay. So gathered all my courage and I did it. Okay. I did it. We had about 12 people. We used our neighborhood clubhouse for our location at the time. And I actually did this program for 8 years. And every single session we did, it grew and grew and grew until finally I only stopped it in 2015 because I was moving. And so it was an in-person program and I was moving, so I couldn't continue it. So at our last session, you guys get this, we had 150 people. No joke. It was incredible. And it ended up being like one of the best things I ever did for myself. So if you're scared of something, if it makes you nervous, but it's calling to you, you got to do it. Okay. You got to just put yourself out there, put your head down, push your ego to the side and go for it because you will be glad you did. I promise you. Okay. So anyways, there's my little TED talk. So during this time, I was, let's see, gosh, it was 2013. Okay. 2013. One of my clients, I was still doing one-on-one coaching online at the time. In addition to that, one of my clients, she worked for a company called Ideal Shape. Okay. They have meal replacement shakes. They had different products. And they were doing a social media campaign called My Ideal. And they were just, highlighting different fitness professionals in the area and doing just little promotional pieces on them. And so they said, can we do this for you? And I said, sure, that sounds fun. And so they did a little promo piece around my boot camp. And then we did some photos at the gym. We're like, hi, I'm Lindsay. This is My Ideal kind of thing. It was great. So I did that. About a month or so later, she calls me and she's like, hey, Ideal Shape is looking for a face of the company. They're looking for, someone that can write ebooks, create programs, help launch new products, put things together, things like that. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. But, my kids are little. At this time I had they were, 2015, 12, 10, 7 is how old they were. Okay. No, sorry. 8, it was 2013. So 8, 6, 3. Okay. Super little. And I was like, I like what I'm doing from home. I'm good, basically, I'm like, okay, cool. Do you know of any friends might be interested? I'm like, sure. So I sent a couple of friends their way, right? They texted again and they were like, I really, really want you to come in and talk to the owners about this. And they're really interested. They saw your My Ideal promotion and they really want to talk to you. And I was like, no, thanks. I don't want to. She's like, okay, fine. And then a week later, she calls again and she's like, can you please just come in and tell them no, so they'll stop bugging me and asking me to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, fine. So I came in, met with the owners of Ideal Shape, and I just fell in love with the people, the company, the mission, and I walked away with a job. And I was like, okay. And I was super pumped. It was the greatest thing ever, you guys, the greatest thing. Again, the theme for me in my journey is I was scared. I did it anyway. Social media was barely starting. This is 2013. I was scared to put myself out there. I was scared to be the head trainer of a supplement company. It made me nervous. But I did it anyway, because I was like, it feels good. If it feels good, then go for it. Right. So at Ideal Shape, I really wanted to create more performance type supplements. Right. And so we created Ideal Fit. A lot of you guys that are listening to this know Ideal Shape, Ideal Fit, protein powder, pre-workout, BCAAs, meal replacement shakes, such great products. And while working there, I was able to create programs. So a lot of you have probably done the 15-day Fit Body Challenge, the 6-week Fit Body Challenge, 6-week Sculpt, Bikini Fit Body, so many different programs, ebooks. And I was able to really grow my social media following while I was there as well. So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Met the greatest people. It was awesome. In 2019, I decided to leave Ideal Fit and go all in on my coaching business. So I was, coaching clients throughout all of this on my own. I actually had one of my current coaches was a coach for me at that time, Sierra. Shout out to Sierra. If you guys work with Sierra, you know her and love her. And I decided to leave Ideal Fit and just go all in on my coaching business. And it was scary. I didn't know what I was doing. But here we are now, 4 years later. We have 7 coaches on my team and a full team of 14 people. So it's been a crazy wild ride. Again, I'll share more details of that journey kind of in future episodes. But one other story that, I really like to talk about is my weight gain story. And this is what, this is what the story that I tell on a lot of podcasts. And so I competed for 9 years in bodybuilding. I don't like calling it bodybuilding because I didn't look like a bodybuilder. I did the bikini and the figure divisions. I did the figure divisions though back when it was not quite as super muscular as it is now. And by not quite as, I mean, not at all how it is now. I did this from 2009 to 2018. Okay. So I didn't compete every single year. There were years in there that I took off, but off and on throughout those 9 years. So let's fast forward to 2018. Okay. 2018, I hadn't competed for 2 years prior, and I wanted to try my hand in competing in bikini. And I told myself in the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to do one show, one competition, says every competitor, but it never turns out that way, right? It was going to be in June. So I started prepping in January. I competed in that one. And then by that point, I was like, well, if I'm going to do one, I might as well do 2. Okay. So if I'm going to do one, I might as well do 2. And so I did the one right before that. So it was 2. I was going to do one in Utah, one in Boise, Idaho. Okay. So I did those 2, I won them. And so when you win them, you have everyone saying, you need to go to nationals. You need to go to nationals. And so you're like, okay, sure. I'll go to nationals. So I go to a national show. I think I placed 8th in that national show. I can't remember actually. So I was going to go to another one and see if you do better. Right. So the next national show I went to, so if you know anything about competing, they do call outs, first call outs. They call out the people who are going to be in the top 5 or 6. Okay. That's called quote first call outs. They call you out and they move you around to compare you. And usually the person who's going to win is in the middle. Okay. Usually I'll say. And so they placed me, I got first call outs, national show. They placed me in the middle, never moved me. Okay. Never moved me once, moved everyone around me. I was there. And this is a national show. So you win your pro card if you win a national show. And so I thought I had it. I thought I definitely had won. I knew a lot of people there. A lot of other coaches were like, oh my gosh, Lindsay, you did it. You won. That's congratulations after prejudging. Okay. So the evening show finals come and they call me for 2nd place. And if I had known going into that show that I was going to place 2nd, I would have been thrilled, right? I would have been over the moon. But to spend that entire day, really thinking that I won, kind of with good reason, thinking that I won. And then to place 2nd was devastating, right? So at that point, I was like, what do I do? Do I try one more time this year or do I just stop? And I truly feel that if I would have just stopped, I might have been fine with the story I'm going to go on to tell you. But I didn't. I pushed for 6 more weeks and I went to another national show. I did not place as well. I placed 8th. Again, it's, placings are so relative, not going into all that, but I was very, very lean for a very, very long time. Okay. I'm 5'6.5". My typical weight is 140 to 145. And I hovered around 125, 120, 125 all summer. And my lowest competition weight was 116. So I was very small, definitely not a healthy place to be for very long. And I spent too long there. So, I went on after that. And again, I'm going to tell this story in so much more detail in the future. But I went on to gain 50 pounds over the next 52 weeks. Kind of ironic how that works out. And it actually kind of makes for a good story, a good story, right? But, I gained all the way up to 164. It's a little less than 50 pounds exactly. Actually, might've been 165. And I stopped gaining 1 year to the day after my last competition, which is interesting, right? So for me, that stress on my body, it was stress. Stress definitely affected my hormones. Again, I'm going to go into so much more detail about this in later episodes. But that stress was me being too lean for too long. For you, it might be something else. For you, it might be maybe you were endurance training for too long. Maybe you went through a nasty divorce. Maybe you had a death in the family. Maybe you have issues with your career, with your family, your kids, whatever it is. A long period of time under stress can wreak havoc on your hormones and cause weight gain, okay? Extreme weight gain, or even just kind of slow weight gain over time, and you don't really know why it's happening and you don't know what's going on, okay? I talk to women all the time. In our coaching program, we work with women all the time going through the same thing. So during that time, I learned so much. This was in 2019 to 20. About hormones. I worked with mentors and doctors and nurses and functional practitioners. I took courses, I got certifications. And now my team helps women going through the same situation to figure out what's going on with them and help them stop the weight gain, lose the weight, and like literally get their lives back, you guys. I know exactly how it feels to pull on your jeans and not be able to buckle them. Button them. I know how it feels to sit on the ground and have your stomach just hanging over your pants. And, it just feels so yucky. And I know how it feels to be so tired in the middle of the day that you just can't stay awake, or to go to the gym and just feel so uncomfortable in your clothes and embarrassed of how you look and not feel your best. Like, it feels horrible. So to be able to stop that weight gain and then go on to lose it is quite literally getting your life back. And nothing lights my team and I up more than helping women do that. So that's kind of my story, you guys. Again, I'm going to go into so much more detail in future episodes. But what to expect here? Okay, we're going to talk about metabolism. We're going to talk about hormones. We're going to talk about stress. We're going to talk about habits, fat loss, healthy lifestyle, macros, nutrition, all sorts of things. We're going to do interviews. We're going to have solo episodes. We're going to do Q&As. I'm also just going to give you a little sneak peek into my life sometimes and how I manage my time, how I manage family life, how I manage my business, a large growing business, while reaching and maintaining my fitness goals. So I hope you stick around. Hope you listen to the other episodes that are here. And please share, you guys, please share on your stories. Tag me. I'm Trainer Lindsay on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the places, because that's how I'm going to reach more people and grow this platform and help more of you, right? I really want to help more of you through my stories and my education. And also leave me a 5-star rating and review. That would make me so, so happy. As a new podcast, I really need that help in getting that word out there. So I truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. And this is signing off for episode 1. Thanks, guys, for sticking around, and I'll see you next time.